Hello and welcome back. This is Penny Sansevieri and Amy Cornell, and this is the Book Marketing Tips and Author Success Podcast. Amy, welcome back.
Thank you so much.
This show, we're very, very excited. We are 10 downloads away from 2,000, which is kind of cool. So we're so appreciative that y'all are listening and we're getting great feedback. We hope that you love the mini-sodes because we love those as well. As ever, we love a review wherever you listen to podcasts, and any show ideas, you can email us, and the information, the email link is in the show notes. So today, we're going to talk about how to run a kick-ass ebook promotion. And I like ebook promotions for a variety of reasons. I mean, one of the main reasons that I like them is because for the Amazon, the boost on Amazon that it gives. They can be tricky because, you can buy ads all day long for ebook promotions, but there needs to be some kind of synergy with what we're doing. And Amy, you run a lot of our ebook promotions. Have you seen any trends recently that you feel are really good or have kind of surprised you?
Yeah, I would say the biggest change that I've seen is the overall quality of the promotional platforms that are available to authors. Even 3-4 years ago, it was very much like you go to these websites and it looks like the website was created in the late 90s. You know what I mean? Like they just didn't look real legit. And you had to think like, who is tuning into this? Like, is this real? But I will say that it's because it got more competitive and it's in a higher demand. A lot of these companies have taken their platforms and their newsletters and their social media accounts and things like that. They've taken it up a few notches. So they've really become a lot more competitive to the point where they've got real numbers and are actually able to charge, even if it's just a small amount. So I really like that the competition has grown, which means that the overall product has gotten a lot better. The options have gotten a lot better.
Right, exactly. And the big kahuna of ebook deals is, of course, BookBub. And we just did a show on BookBub a few shows ago, I think, or 2 shows ago. And the daily deals are great. They're harder to get, and they're also pricey. So we're going to look at some ways to do successful ebook promotions in the absence of a BookBub deal, or if you have one coming up. I mean, certainly, there are a bunch of other platforms out there, Amy, as you pointed out, many of them looking much more professional than they did a few years ago.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I'm a big fan of trying different channels. So mixing both paid sites, if it's in your marketing budget, and free sites, because a lot of people that are looking for deals have subscriptions to different companies. So they're not just getting BookBub emails, they're also getting emails and or following some of these other platforms on social and things like that. So you're really better off making sure you have a range. I will say the paid sites typically have more to prove. There's a reason that they can charge. So those numbers are typically a lot more solid and they're a lot more transparent about how big their newsletter list is. They're really transparent about their social media accounts. You can actually go on to their accounts and kind of see what kind of engagement or interaction they get, how often they're posting, things like that. So it's definitely more of a sure thing if you do a paid one, but there's nothing wrong with supporting it with some of the free services as well, because again, it's about getting impressions. And if you submit and get listed by a handful of sites and you happen to get in front of the same reader more than once, that is really what triggers that next step to clicking buy. Once that person's like, wow, I've seen that book cover. Whoa, and I saw that book cover in another email I get. Okay, I need to go check it out. You know what I mean? That's really the psychology behind how these impressions work. So getting on as many channels as possible really does get you closer to that buy.
Yeah, and I this brings us to my next point, because I really don't like doing ebook promotions in a vacuum. Meaning I don't, want to do just one and kind of hope for the best. And I love what you're talking about is ebook promotion, so stacking ebook promotions. And it's interesting because I get BookBub deals and I get I get the daily deals, and then I get a few other newsletters from other ebook sites. And if sometimes if I see something on BookBub, as popular as BookBub is, I won't always buy it. But if I see something, like if I see it a few times, like if it comes across my email over the next few days, like, oh my gosh, here's that deal again, and here's that deal again, then I might be inclined. It's that multiple impressions, and that's really where, ebook stacking becomes a little bit more effective, as opposed to just the the one and done. And the other reason that I like this is because ebook deals are great for your Amazon algorithm, meaning they help to boost your page exposure by sending traffic and obviously hopefully sales to the book page. So even better if you stack promotions. And by stacking, and we'll break this down a little bit more, but by stacking, they don't always have to happen on the same day. They can happen over the course of, let's say you run the price special for 3 days, it can run over the course of 3 days.
Right, exactly. We say it over and over again. Always do anything that you do for your book marketing, do it with a purpose and with a plan to support it. So if you're like, I'm going to do an ebook promo, plan to do at least 2 other marketing activities or efforts that support that. So, that can be posting about it on social, sending a note out in your newsletter, asking your followers to share with their networks that your book, is going to be out there. They're going to see a promo for it, things like that. It really helps supporting your ebook promo with BookBub ads. Like, there are so many things you can do, and you will really get a lot more for your money and effort by supporting every activity that you do with another couple efforts. Because, like you said, just doing it in a vacuum rarely moves the needle all on its own. And, I want to say, Penny, we're sitting here talking about promos, but for the most part, we're talking about a limited time discount, right? I mean, at least the majority of the time, you want to do a promo when you have something special to offer.
Yes. So we're talking about a limited time discount. So we're talking about discounting your ebook price. And I just have to vent for a second. Can we just be done with free ebooks? Like, can we just finish that conversation? And I mean, I think that free ebook promos were really great back in the day, and back in the day being 3 years ago. Because, everything with book promotion, like 1 year is like dog years, right? It's 7 years. But that probably didn't make a lot of sense. But
no, it's true though. Yes, it is true. It moves very fast. What works and what doesn't can move very fast.
It moves very fast. And the problem is that I feel like lots of people have gotten to be digital weary. And I saw a book, and this was another ebook deal, right? So I saw a book advertised, and I thought, oh, I'm going to grab it. And when I went to grab it, Amazon said, hey, you got this book back in 2017. And I thought, oh my gosh. So it's sitting somewhere on my Kindle app, buried below all of the other books that I have. The good news is that you can have all these books on your Kindle app. The bad news is you can have all these books on your Kindle app. So I really like pricing that's specific and special. And for example, if your regularly priced ebook is $7.99, right? You could discount it to $2.99 or $1.99, or you could have fun with it. You could do something that's $1.97. So there's a funny kind of thing that happens with the brain when we see things that so when you go to an Amazon page, you automatically expect to see 99 cents or 95 cents. But when you see something that's a little off, like $2.56, it actually grabs your attention. And I've done that a few times, and it absolutely works. Like, I'll see more ebook sales for some off-center pricing. So it's about being, you can discount it, and sure, you can absolutely make something for free. I'm just not I wouldn't always go that free road or the 99 cents road, but sometimes that really funky pricing is the kind of thing that can also help to grab people's attention.
Yes, I think that's so smart, because people get distracted so easily, especially on Amazon. Amazon is notorious for making sure that you stay distracted, because that's how you buy more stuff on their site. They don't care what you're buying.
Right.
They just want you to buy stuff. So there is it's also really smart to create a sense of urgency. And so that's why timing of your ebook promo is really also very critical, as you mentioned earlier, Penny, that it doesn't always have to be like just a set time, but just, again, be very purposeful with what you're doing and why you're doing it. Because if you do a promo that only lasts 3 days, like it's only discounted for 2 or 3 days, not only does it create a sense of urgency for them to act on it, it also gives you full permission to shout it from the rooftops for the entire 3 days. Because if your book is only discounted for 3 days, you want to make sure people know about it. Your newsletter, social, your website, anywhere and everywhere that you have access to people that may buy your book, do that. BookBub ads, because if you run a discount for 2 weeks, you're going to lose people. They'll say like, oh, well, I'll get that later. Or, I got to pick up the kids. Like, it's going to be available for a while. And you can't hammer people on social media for 2 weeks straight going, get my book, get my book, get my book. They'll start blocking you, Right. So there's something very strategic about making sure that you keep it, again, very purposeful, short amount of time, but making the most of that short amount of time, that short window.
Well, and there's also there's a sense of urgency with a 3-day window versus you have 2 weeks to get my book at this discounted price, right?
Exactly.
Because we used to do ebook promotions that lasted 5 to 7 days, and unless there is some kind of a strategy to boost that strategy, 5 to 7 days is really long. So unless you're planning on running ads for 5 to 7 days, and this is kind of the conversation, and I don't want to get us too sidetracked, but this is the conversation about running Facebook ads, right? So people say to me all the time, well, I'm running Facebook ads, but they're not really converting. And that's where, when you get this 3-day, this shorter promo, and you're creating a sense of urgency, that's when every support system that you put in place for your ebook promotions starts to convert better. It starts to do better. And so, you can, so you can limit the time that you're doing the promotions, and maybe even do them more frequently if you want to.
Yeah, I agree. If you're going to do a 5 to 7 day promo, you really have to be so on top of what you do every day during that promo. Like, you really have to do a countdown and have something special going on every day. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be above and beyond, and it takes a lot of effort. Some authors are all about that, but for the majority of authors that, they're like, I can barely get my ebook promo scheduled. Like, that's a big ask. So going shorter, going shorter is a lot more manageable. And so we talked about timing. You mentioned earlier about doing them for your launch or just after, but I assume there are other times that are also, good opportunities to run an ebook promo.
Well, and I'm so glad that you asked that, because I really do love ebook rotation. So if you have a bunch of ebooks, maybe in a series, maybe not, but you can rotate one a month in and out of a promo. So let's say that you have 4 or 5 ebooks. That's 5 months of promotion right there, right? But so meaning that you would take, your older book and you would, run a promo on it, and et cetera, et cetera. And then I also love doing ebook promotions ahead of new releases, because you can get a nice pre-order boost as well. I just wouldn't recommend doing them too far ahead of time. So I talked to an author last week who said, my pre-order is going to be up for 6 months, and I was thinking about doing, an ebook promo 3 months ahead of time. And much like the conversation of how many books can I sell during a pre-order, which we'll do a separate show on that, doing your pre-order, doing an ebook promo too early on a pre-order can really sabotage your efforts. But I do like to do them. I think they're great for your Amazon algorithm. They're great for the attention of your book, as long as, you stay within that. I mean, I typically would do ebook promotions on my pre-orders 3 days ahead of the book launch, because people are really willing to wait 3 days for a book.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to be a big household name for somebody to wait very long. Like, I was noticing the new J.K. Rowling book that's coming out. It's like, this will be out in November. I was like, what is happening? Right. Like, November? I swear to God, I'll forget about it before then. And then it'll be like Christmas. It'll show up, be like, I forgot I got this.
I know. That's what I know.
Few people can pull that off. Few authors have that kind of clout.
Right, exactly. But she does, because obviously, she has this massive fan base, and people just cannot wait to get her book. So her longer pre-order, and any kind of promos that they might do ahead of that work very well for her.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just make sure. So the backlist, I want to make sure, like, if you have a backlist of books, you have to do that. You're not doing ebook promos for your backlist. Get on the train. It's a really simple and effective and inexpensive way to not let your older books get lost forever. And obviously, if you're drawing attention to your older book, if your Amazon page and your Author Central account is really tight and set up really well, you're getting exposure for your other books too. So it's really a win-win if you have multiple books to do these ebook promo rotations.
Yeah. And, I just want to reiterate again to be strategic, because there are a lot of authors that run them with no real clear goal or strategy. So they just run them because they feel like they should. And one thing that I want to kind of throw in here too is, if you're listening to this and you think, oh, ebook promotions, that's a great idea. I haven't done one in a while. I have a few books. I can rotate them. That's great. Keep a journal. I mean, we have a free marketing planner and it's free. So I'm not telling y'all to spend a bunch of money on this, but keep track. When you do ebook promotions, keep really close track of when you ran them, how well they did, what the price point was, where you ran them, so what platforms. Because what happens is, especially if you start to, like, if you've been listening to this podcast, you're like, I love all their ideas, which hopefully you do, and you start to run with some of them, it's going to be tough to keep track of what did well for you if you want to try to replicate that. And ebook promos in particular, Amy, and we know this because you run so many of them, you got to you got to track them, do them intentionally.
Right. Yes. You have to be thinking multiple steps ahead. You plan the promo, great. You got your slot, you pick the dates, your pricing. You have to also make sure the promo is beneficial for you and the reader. So do a discount that's worth it without, as we talked about earlier, you don't have to totally drive it in the ground and do free, because there is a sense of like, no, you want to keep some value to it. So find that happy medium to where you don't just, disintegrate the value of your book, but it's still a good deal. And, figure out 2 ways to support that. And, we talked about BookBub. We've done BookBub shows, so definitely check those out. So we run through, all the key elements of what to do with a BookBub promo, and those really, really support your discount ebook promotions really well. BookBub is a relatively inexpensive marketing strategy too, and they're quick and easy to set up. So, you can really get on there and you can get an ad running that same day, Penny, which is something I think a lot of people don't consider. So while we do encourage you to plan these out, if you already have some ebook promos, on your schedule, but, you're thinking like, oh, I'm not doing anything else with them, get on BookBub, get an account going, and set up some ads to support that discount and really call attention to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, finding a minimum of 2 additional ways to support that promo. Stay strategic. Apparently I've lost the ability to speak. Ad stacking, which doesn't necessarily have to be limited to 2. You can do, as Amy mentioned, you can do free, you can do paid. Because again, you can get a lot of different promotions for within that time frame and get a lot more attention for your book. And as Amy mentioned, also running BookBub ads. I'm glad you mentioned that, because we did talk about that briefly in another show. But the BookBub, if you can't get the deals, the BookBub ads work also really well to help promote it. And, if you're unsure of what to do and you want to get on the ebook train, obviously you can get a hold of us. We do coaching. We have a great book marketing assessment, which I will say that Amy has a big hand in doing book marketing assessments, and people love your assessments, Amy. They really, really love how detailed they are.
I love doing them, honestly, and I'm not just pandering. They really are, because it's so fun to get in that creative mindset, it's almost like virtually sitting there with the author at the desk and going over what they're doing and brainstorming ways to take it to the next level. And that's really what the assessment does. It's not just like, well, you're doing all these things wrong, good luck with that. That's not what it's about at all. It's about it really is about saying like, okay, here's where you're at with this. This is what you can do to take it to the next level. And here are some tips on getting there. So it's really not, it really is, it's more than just a blanket assessment. It really includes a lot of tips and recommendations as well. And they're all things that you can do on your own if you're willing to learn and put in the time. So it's definitely not one of those like, well, yeah, you should do all this stuff and hire us and we'll do it for you. Like, I promise it's really not about that. It's about helping authors with their DIY pieces. And then we're here obviously all the time for the bigger elements that we can collaborate on.
Well, and
you need both.
Right, exactly. And the really interesting thing is, Amy, that I think we've discovered, and part of the reason that you and I were both incentivized to do this show is that most authors or many authors, I would say, are really one strategy away from being really successful. And sometimes it's their Amazon book page, sometimes it's their cover, right? I mean, we've seen some books that really need a lot of work, like a big makeover, but a lot of times, like, it's a situation where the author's just almost there. And there are just some, like, I talked to an author the other day and she was pitching her book to the erotic romance market and not getting a lot of play because her category was wrong. Her genre was wrong. And so sometimes it's that, you know what I mean? Sometimes it's just that changing trains get you to the better station, if I can just use that analogy. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate all your feedback. We love reviews and show ideas. You can reach us. You can contact us using the email address in the show notes. This is Penny Sansevieri and Amy Cornell, and we will see you later. Goodbye.